also know their names. We know that it is not my responsibility as a cabinet secretary to investigate any individual specifically. But of course, from the reports we get, you can see clearly who are the coup plotters. You can also see it from the pattern of the areas where the protests were violent and intense, that there was an outright misuse of people who would have been, so to speak, political supporters, turning them against the rest of the citizens to make sure that you reign chaos and terror. Particularly of great concern is in Nyeri, where the Member of Parliament of Mathira was specifically targeted, his home, and the Member of Parliament of Kieni. And this pattern has continued from last year, and now there has been a specific pattern of the coup plotters targeting certain political leaders whom they think they are not giving them political support. That is why you saw Kiunjuri's home, Kimani Ichung'wah is being targeted, and the Molo Member of Parliament. Just to, terrorists, how they operate is that they instill fear. And these are political terrorists. They would like to instill fear on members of parliament who don't support their political ideology so that they can get a safe passage. The DCI does not investigate politics. It will only deal with the criminals. And those criminals who will be caught, they invaded a police station, the shops, they provided financial support to criminals, paid them, ferried them, the matatus that were used to ferry them, some of the vehicles that were operating pretending to be ambulances, but they were ferrying goons. All of them are going to be ensured that they have been mopped up, and all those people be arrested and charged. And as I said, it is up to now the next stage, the DPP and the judiciary, to take the next stage. And as a country, it is not my duty to announce to you the names. You will see them when they appear before court, so that then the DCI can have an ample time to carry out its responsibility. But all those characters we know. This is not, let me say this, the problem we were facing yesterday is not about justice. It's not even justice about families who lost their loved ones. It's not even about genuine expression of views by citizens. It was just purely politics. And yesterday's game was political. But for people who are impatient to wait for the next elections, they think there is something they can do between now and next elections to get this administration out of office. They also think that because they are facing serious political upheavals, that orchestrating violence will help them negotiate a better passage from their current political challenges. So we know them, and Kenyans know them. And I have no doubt they will start running around the country with their propaganda, the usual. We are being targeted, our cousins are being targeted. It will not take long before you will see them making the noise. But let me tell them, they are not above the law. They are not above the law. And I have said this before. We will make sure that this country is protected. And we cannot be intimidated. And I just want to repeat that. And then, unfortunately, the people of Kenya, through Parliament, have not put aside budget for compensating those whose properties are destroyed and looted through such occasions. And we do not have budgetary allocation as a government to do so. And if we were to be providing budget that will compensate people all the time when their properties are looted at this point in time, then the best law would have been those who are protest organizers should be bearing greatest responsibility. That is why you heard me say it's important to have a law that will clearly define who are the organizers of the protest, where do they want to, what is the purpose of this protest, when do they want to have the protest, where will they start the protest, which route will it follow, and where will it end? And should there be anything that is, these protesters loot people's properties, what will happen? It is also important to organize public protests. It's because Mr. Properly briefed, the protesters followed defined route in Mombasa. They started at 10, they finished at 12. There was a small group that wanted to cause chaos at some point, but it wasn't a serious one, and the protest was closed. That is an example of how public protest should be done, not the kind of mayhem and chaos that we witnessed in the city. And therefore, unfortunately, the government of Kenya does not have a budgetary allocation from Parliament that takes care of any form of compensation. That does not mean that the government of Kenya is not feeling the pain of the businesses. When I went to OTC today at the bus station, and all of us as a team when we went there, you saw, I met a lady who lost her husband 7 months ago, and she has loans. And she has, this business she's running was worth about, the capital required is about 200,000. Now, as a government, you would say, yes, we have no budget to do so. But all of us as well-wishers, other business people, even from government, even as leaders, situation. I have also been asked by Daniel that there are people who do not trust the justice system. Unfortunately, this is our country. And that's why when we tell all the protesters that let's make protests peaceful, let's protect our nation, there is no other country. The same people who will say today, we don't trust our justice system, are the same people whom when we say we want to regulate protests, they will say, no, you cannot regulate our right. It's important that protests are regulated. And also important for us to trust our institutions. The DCI and the police here have done a fantastic job to unearth so many cases in the country. We have the capacity and the human resource to make sure that we investigate and arrest people. And that's why I'm saying we have arrested